Hi guys. So recently somebody made a comment on one of my posts that they would like to know about which hand sewing supplies that I use or would recommend. So this video is going to be basically just showing you some products on Amazon that I regularly use and have found useful. I've been sewing for a few years now, so a lot of trial and error of trying out different products and figuring out which ones are good. And I would say that the products in this video are going to be essential for me. Products that I regularly use or would repurpose or repurchase. So the first thing when you're starting hand sewing is figuring out which kind of needles to purchase. These are the ones that I use and that I would recommend. These are called sharps. They're very tiny little needles. And if you're brand new to hand sewing, you might find them a little bit painful, because you will be building up the calluses on your fingers as you use them, and you might even decide to start using a thimble when using those. And for my thread, I actually go to eBay. I know this is a little bit of a diversion from my usual Amazon as my go-to source. But what I found is on eBay, you can purchase these really big serger kind of sewing thread spools. And you get like 6,000 yards, and it costs you like $8. So for the colors that I use all the time, this is my go-to. So for hand sewing, mostly when you're doing the actual sewing, what you're going to be using is some small scissors. And these are the scissors that I purchased. You're going to find a variety of little scissors on Amazon, but these are the ones that I use. And they're sturdy, they've never broken, they're colorful. And for actually cutting the fabric, Fiskars, this is the I think the go-to scissors for a lot of sewing people. The orange is iconic. I've actually got some green scissors, but this brand is very well respected. They're not going to break. They're going to hold up. They're going to stand the test of time. You're probably going to hand them down to your children. Definitely a good purchase for about $10. And these clips, if you've watched any of my sewing videos, you're going to see them all the time. I love these little clips. They come in a big package of about 100. I've had a couple break, but I think those are mostly due to my cat deciding that they would be fun to play with. By and large, I think I've had these like for 4 or 5 years, and I've only had a few break, and they're just really easy to use. Customers have glowing things to say about these little clips. I love them because they're so easy to move around as you're sewing, and you don't have to pierce your fabric with little tiny pins, so definitely get some of those. For marking your fabric when you're measuring, tailor's chalk is a really good purchase. It shows up really well. It comes in colorful colors. You're going to find a variety of different products available on Amazon for those. For seam rippers, occasionally we're going to make some mistakes and we're going to need to get out our seam rippers. I'm a big fan of these ergonomic grip seam rippers. You can find them from a variety of different vendors, but definitely, you know, as we get older, those ergonomic grippers definitely make them a lot more comfortable. So for small measuring, I definitely recommend these little black sliding gauge sewing rulers. And I think this style has been around for at least 50 years. If you've ever had a sewer in the family, you've probably been handed down at least one of those rulers over the years. This is another ruler that I love for hand sewing. You're going to find a variety of different measurements, but having that clear ruler just is a big time saver. Definitely worth the purchase. Getting a self-healing sewing mat definitely makes measuring just so much easier. You can use it with a pair of scissors or the rotating, you know, cutting tools, depending on where your comfort level is. But whenever I'm doing any kind of measuring, I always just get out my mat first and then put the fabric down. It just makes measuring just so much easier. Seems like a bit of a hefty purchase when you're purchasing it, but definitely worth the money. So thimbles, at some point you're probably going to need a thimble. And it's really about your preference. I've found that the old-fashioned thimbles that go all around your finger, they're just kind of confining and kind of hot and not comfortable for me. But definitely try out a couple of varieties. I'd say for most of my sewing, I don't use a thimble, but every now and then when I'm dealing with a few layers of fabric that I'm having to push a needle through, getting a thimble is definitely something that you need to do at some point. So this is the style that I actually use. This is a kind of a leather kind of thimble. And I found it just really comfortable and just really easy to use. I went on Etsy, you know, around $20, you know, but well worth the money for something comfortable that you're gonna use. So definitely think about different styles of thimbles and different ways to save your hands. And there's a lot of choices out there. Getting a lamp is definitely something to do. That'll save your eyes and just make your hand sewing just a whole lot easier. This is the lamp that I purchased. It's currently unavailable on Amazon, but you're going to find lots of varieties for these gooseneck magnifying lamps. I don't really use the magnifier that much, but the light itself, definitely a saver on the eyes. Just looking through Amazon, if you're searching for the gooseneck magnifying lamp with a clamp, you're going to find lots of varieties. There's some low cost ones, you know, $20 to $30, well worth the money. You know, when your eyes are young in your 20s, it doesn't seem really important, but as you get older, just having the right amount of light just makes all the difference in the world. So definitely put that on your list if you are a beginning hand sewer. It'll definitely be a big comfort for you and save you a little bit of eye strain while you're doing your hand sewing. And lastly, storage is going to be a big thing on your list. When you start sewing, maybe you only have a few projects, but over time you end up with more fabric and more sewing thread. And these I love. I've purchased these a couple of times. They're just the right size for all those little pieces that we end up collecting as we start sewing. So I use them for a variety of different things. For fabrics that are left over, I love how you can divide them by different colors. So just really a really useful purchase. So I use them for fabric and also for my thread. So these are those big spools of thread that I have. And I love how you can fit like 6 of them in one container. And for smaller threads, I've got those as well. I just use some painter's tape just to keep them organized so the threads don't come loose. So definitely look into some storage. And that's all I've got for this week. Thank you for watching and have a great day.